I'm Harrison Graham. Coming up here on Chicago Bears Now, let's go back in time and revisit the Bears-Panthers trade, the fleecing, as some call it, as the Bears host the Panthers here at Soldier Field today. Amazingly, that trade is still not complete. But first, let's get into some news and notes from the day. Eric Washington, the Bears defensive coordinator, praising Carolina's offense. As he clearly is not overlooking this opponent, which hopefully the Bears as a whole are not either because they cannot afford to. Here's what Washington had to say. He said, the stars of this offense is the offensive line and the running back, talking about Chuba Hubbard. Also, he said, this is an experienced play caller, signal caller in Andy Dalton. And you can't overlook this team because with Andy Dalton as the starting quarterback, the Panthers' offense has actually been pretty good. Not just like okay, pretty good. It's only 2 games, but they've scored 60 total points. It was 36 the first start he made against the Raiders, 24 last week against the Bengals. He's throwing for over 250 yards per game, talking about Andy Dalton. And Chuba Hubbard has back-to-back 100-yard games. Like this, if over the course of a season, this would be one of the better offenses in the NFL. Now, small sample size. The Raiders, have been kind of all over the place so far. The Bengals defense isn't that good this year, so it doesn't mean they're one of the best offenses in the NFL. But for 2 weeks, they've been well above average, and at minimum, Andy Dalton makes them a better team and a better offense. I don't think there's any question about that. Bryce Young just did not look like a guy who was ready to play at a high level in the NFL, and that's how he performed. He looked like a bad backup, if we're being completely honest. So Dave Canales makes the switch, and that's paid off. They're 1-1, and they've been competitive in 2 straight football games. And I would expect them to come to Chicago and give the Bears a decent punch. I don't think this is a game you could just show up and roll in if you are the Bears. What is your nervous scale for this Panthers game? Because, listen, this is as close to a must-win as it gets. You can't afford to drop this one, so nerves are natural. Scale of 0 to 10. I'll go like a 4. I'm not too concerned. The Bears should take care of business here. They've won 5 in a row when they are a betting favorite, and they are favored by 4, 4.5, depending on where you look. So they should handle business here, but what looked like a lock of a win when Bryce Young was playing, I would not say that anymore. This is not a lock. If you go out there and play a C-plus game, you could get beat. So definitely have to play better. Let us know, scale from 0 to 10, your nervous scale for this Panthers game. Get some injury news. Teven Jenkins trending up after not practicing on Wednesday. He was a limited participant today as he's dealing with that ribs injury. So that's a positive. That would lead one to believe he's got a pretty good chance of playing on Sunday against Carolina. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Plus, both full injury reports for the Bears and the Panthers. But before we do that, we got to tell you about our friends, our sponsor. Ticketing sponsor of this show is called Game Time. And listen, do you want to go to the Bears-Panthers game this week? You can. Get your tickets with Game Time. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Football season in full force. You got college football going on as well. Hockey is back with the preseason, regular season just around the corner. NBA getting going in a couple of weeks. Perfect time to get off the couch and get out, enjoy life, whether it's going to a sporting event, concert, comedy show, theater event. If you need tickets, Game Time has you covered. And the best way to find the quality tickets you're looking for is using their newest feature, Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets to your favorite teams and bands play easier. It'll filter out the fluff to show you the best deals on the best seats, so you don't have to filter through thousands of tickets before making your purchase. You'll see views from the seats within the Game Time app, super deals, which are the best bang for your buck, and again, those last-minute tickets for the lowest price guaranteed are with Game Time. So here's what you do. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account and use code CHATSPORTS, all one word, CHATSPORTS, to get $20 off your first purchase only right now. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, take a look at the Bears injury report. Just 3 players not practicing, and really 2. Marcedes Lewis always takes his rest day on Thursday, but Zacch, Pickens, Terell Smith, I would expect them to continue to not play this week. as they deal with the groin and hip issue. Teven Jenkins, we mentioned, limited with those ribs, as was DeAndre Carter, so probably just a soreness, pain tolerance thing right now. Gervon Dexter, limited with a hip. Hopefully he's okay. He's been a really good piece this year. Montez Sweat's been dealing with that ankle injury for a while now. He was limited, and then Kmet was actually full. That's a mislabeling by me. Full participant today after he was a little nicked up yesterday. And look, Bears are pretty healthy. I mean, Zacch, Pickens, Terell Smith, couple of backups. Ryan Bates could be back next week as he's eligible to return from IR. We'll see about Jacob Martin and Larry Borum. But for the most part, this team does not have any major injuries right now. Panthers injury report, knock on wood. Thank you, producer Cullen. Taylor Moton, the right tackle, rest day today, did not practice. Neither did Miles Sanders, who's dealing with an illness. Jacob Coker with a foot did not practice. Tommy Trimble, knee, did not practice. Josie Jewell, groin, did not practice. Shaq Thompson ripped his Achilles. He just hasn't been officially placed on IR yet. That'll happen soon. He will not play, obviously. His season's over. Andrew Rame dealing with the concussion, the center there, so we'll see if he gets cleared or not. Deontay Johnson was limited with an ankle injury. Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis, their two guards, limited as well. All right, so there are the injury reports as we get ready for Bears versus Panthers on Sunday. Let's revisit this trade now. Obviously, if you answer the question of what is Ryan Poles known for, it is for this trade. Trading the number one pick a couple of years ago to Carolina, and they took Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud, and the rest is kind of history. The Bears got DJ Moore. They drafted Darnell Wright and Tyreek Stevenson and Caleb Williams with the picks they got in that draft, and they still have a second-round pick in this next year's draft from Carolina as well, which, to be honest, even if they win a few more games than expected with Andy Dalton, still probably a top 8, top 10 pick in the second round, probably a top 40 overall selection. This is one of the most imbalanced trades in the history of the sport. And this trade indirectly led to other players too. You were able to draft Rome Odunze with your own draft pick. You traded down a spot to get Darnell Wright, which got you a future fourth-round pick, which allowed you to trade for Keenan Allen, which also allowed you to draft Torrey Taylor because you had that extra fourth-round pick. Like, the domino effect of this trade is pretty significant when you add it all up. And if Caleb hits, even if he does it, it's still pretty lopsided. Now, if the Panthers drafted C.J. Stroud and he was awesome, and the Bears could have drafted C.J. Stroud, sure, like that could hurt a little bit. But the volume of players the Bears got, and all of them being pretty good players, like even if you're a little down on Darnell right now or Tyreek, who's a little bit up and down, they're starters. Like, they're good players, right? If Caleb hits, this could be the most lopsided trade of all time. It really, really could. I mean, it got the Panthers brass fired. They're already on a new regime. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that this trade still isn't done, that they should be able to find a quality starter, might even use that trade at the deadline to add another player. So, yeah, the Bears, that trade for Ryan Poles, man, if he ends up having a 10, 15-year career here and Caleb's awesome and stuff like that, it's going to be his signature moment. There's no doubt about it. Describe this trade in one word. Fleecing, historic, lopsided, overrated. Maybe you don't think it's as good of a trade as some other people do. Let me know how you feel about this trade down in the comment section down below in one word. All right, that's going to do it for this first episode of Chicago Bears Now for those watching live. Lots more content to come. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We will see you guys very soon.